So we went to ABT and we suggested that the program, because the vast majority of dance students are not gifted to become professional dancers, how do we create a program that will give those who have the natural ability to become professional dancers to really get the basis and the strength to be able to go forward? But how do we make the program an experience of growth for those who do not have the ability? Hello.
Good evening, gentlemen. Or shall I say good afternoon in New York?
Well, we're in Florida, but it is good afternoon. It's noon here.
Oh, okay. So it's wonderful to talk to you, and thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure.
Raymond and Franco.
Yes, I'm Franco.
And I'm Raymond.
Gentlemen, I spoke to Alessandra Ashkenazi, and she told me about this wonderful program, this teaching program that you wrote. Can you please tell me where did the inspiration come to write this program, this teaching program at the ABT?
Well, it was a process, and through our experience as teachers, and so it actually it came to fruition first in Hartford Ballet, but then it started developing because they asked us to revamp their teaching program for the students. And so from there, we went on to Boston Ballet, where Boston Ballet then asked us also to start creating a program for them. But the thing became really big with ABT because ABT at one point was having a meeting of the artistic staff of what would make the ideal dancer for ABT. And so there were several factors to consider, and you wanted to make sure that there were dancers that were flexible in their ability to change from one style of dance to the other, because there's so many different, the repertoire is so vast, and you have to jump from the classical repertoire to Balanchine to Twyla Tharp to Martha Graham to Merce Cunningham. So basically the company, the dancers, how do we create a situation where dancers are stylistically flexible, but that they are technically so solid and so in tune with their bodies that they can actually then do the work without getting hurt. So prevention of injury was one thing, and also establishing or defining what it was that made a dancer happy.
Oh, so, yeah. And that's important.
And that was important and
healthy.
And healthy. So yeah. The whole health aspect and the state of mind aspect was a very important point. Then ABT decided to have some research, and I was actually still in Boston Ballet, and I was called to go to Paris, to the Paris Opera, to do some observation and research for the program. And that was pretty amazing. I have to say that at the time, the director was Claude Bessy, and she was extraordinarily generous, as was Galine Stock, who was the director of the Royal Ballet School. And with all of our other experiences, we were able to put together the program with ABT. So we went to ABT and we suggested that the program, because the vast majority of dance students are not gifted to become professional dancers, how do we create a program that will give those who have the natural ability to become professional dancers to really get the basis and the strength to be able to go forward? But how do we make the program an experience of growth for those who do not have the ability, which is the vast majority of the students?
Because also when you form only professional dancer, we miss an audience.
Exactly.
Then making the love of dance to everybody, this is the future of the ballet, because then when you do a performance, the theater is sold out.
Yeah, and also then you have no misconceptions about this art form, because I think many people have quite misconceived ideas of what ballet really is.
The problem with ballet is that when it's done well, it looks easy.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so when people see it, they say, I can do that, like that song and chorus line, I can do that.
Yeah, yeah.
But it must to be like that.
But it's beautiful when it does look easy.
Yes, I know. And you know, I've been talking to many artists over the lockdown period as well. And this was the one question that I've raised, is that shouldn't we focus also, you know, on children's education, so that we don't just raise, or we don't just focus on the education of developing artists or musicians, but that we also focus on creating a new audience, you know, people who can really appreciate and value art, because I think that is the point that we have to also realize, that if they can appreciate the art, they will also value the art and the artist.
Well, there's also, not speaking egotistically from the point of view of these students, what did they get out of it besides enjoying a ballet?
And it need to be a very serious experience, because ballet is serious,
As music is.
but also an enjoyable performance.
Yeah.
Because when sometimes some of the teacher destroy the younger one, and then you don't want to see ballet, you don't want to see a concert.
Yeah.
But what is special in the ABT curriculum, when we start doing the work with ABT, we got, oh my God, maybe more than 20 American doctor, physiotherapist,
children's needs, women's needs, a specialist in orthopedics, specialist in growth, specialist in nutrition. So we really encompassed a huge range of professionals to help us define what would make a healthy and happy dancer, whether professional dancer or not.
Because also when you know exactly what has the characteristic of every single age, you can approach your teaching in a different way.
Yeah. And the thing is with dancers, also they start at such a young age, and their bodies, their training, their big part of their training happens really in that growing age. If I talk about, say, they go to vocational school, it's that growing age where they do really intensive training, whereas musicians, that age of their lives, they still maybe at home, or they are not, you know, they can start really going professional when they're older, or training. But with dancers, it's very young that they start their vocational
usually
training.
pre-professional training. I don't think there's a school that starts earlier than the age of 10.
Yeah.
The Royal Ballet, I think, starts at 11. We at ABT, we started at 12. But that is also in relationship to the physical development of the human being, because there's certain requirements in ballet where certain muscle groups needs to have been developed, and those muscle groups don't develop until, on the average, for the human being, especially the ones that turn out, do not develop in human beings on ages 10 to 12 in general. So that's why the pre-professional schools will not use younger children, also because younger children do not have logical thinking.
Oh, okay.
So they have magical thinking, so it is...
and it's important to keep this magical thinking.
Yeah.
Because this in the future can help a dancer to have a little bit more artistry and not only technique.
Yeah.
But also talking from a practical sense, how do we speak to people in politics or school boards, or why is this any good to do? Why is it important or beneficial for the general population to do ballet? And so studies have shown that the body-brain connection is more fine-tuned. So people who do ballet tend to age way better. The balance, the understanding of balance, understand the body-brain connection becomes better. They're able to, their skills of organization, reading, mathematics, all those other disciplines actually are improved by this discipline. So there are all these, for example, there's something really, really simple. A child that has problems reading, there might be an issue of certain type of coordination in their growing up that did not happen. And that coordination is usually called the cross-lateral coordination, where you use effectively your right arm on your left side or vice versa. So when children do not get those kinds of experiences, the brain actually does not develop as well. So it is amazing how dancing can help on an educational level in general.
I'm so excited when you say these things, because really this is what I'm thinking. I'm really hoping that people can understand this, and that all children, I think all children should be able to do some sort of art in schools. That if we start talking more and start making people aware that you cannot just let a child sit and do maths and think that is going to create for them a life, that the art is just so connected with us and so connected with all these subjects, that it's so important that all children in all schools in the world have the opportunity to do some form of art. And like you say, dancing, how we've got our bodies and it's there to use.
And also when we saw in our experience, and we are teaching for a very long time now, and all our students, not only when, okay, you don't become professional because you don't have all the requirements, but you love ballet, but a lot of these students start loving music, art, painting, because it's
all encompassing in a way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No,
but
definitely.
Before we say about it's important to have an audience, but also, okay, like in Europe, maybe some of these young dancers, you don't become a dancer, but you can become a politician.
Yes.
In America, you can become a very wealthy person. And in America, we go with board members giving us money. We survive with private donation.
Yeah.
And
in Europe, through government donations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was really clear, because when we start talking about start this program, one of the board members, ABT, she was a Canadian lady. And she grew up doing R&D method. And but I think she got very good teacher, because she never became a dancer, but she was in love with ballet. And when at the meeting, Raymond and I, we start talking about this new adventure, she was the first one screaming, "We need to go with these two guys, we need to go." Yeah. And she helped us to push the other board member, but also to put her own money on the program.
Yeah, yeah, but it's exactly like you say. It's, when it's people, when the politicians and when everybody in power had this opportunity or the knowledge or the appreciation, then the arts would be such a more important part of our lives. But it's, we need for people to understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that is wonderful. I'm so excited about everything you're saying, because it's really things that I've been thinking and talking about all this time. But now, you both were dancers?
Yes.
Yeah. And how did your career start? Raymond, how did you start with ballet?
I started with ballet late.
Yeah.
Because I was an acrobat.
Oh, okay.
And my acrobatics teacher said, you've got to take ballet because you have to develop better line when you do the acrobatics. And he actually adored ballet. He was an absolute huge fan of Maria Tallchief. He adored Maria Tallchief. So he said, no, you've got to take ballet. So then when I started taking ballet, they said, oh, you know that you're gifted for ballet. So one thing led to another. And I then started working with the Harkness Ballet as a trainee. And then I went to Buffalo, New York, because there was a company being formed there that was being used as a vehicle for Nureyev, Rudolf Nureyev, to go on tour. And so that was a really magical experience because we had Bronislava Nijinska, David Lishin, Alicia Markova, Hans Brenner from the Royal Danish also.
Wow.
It was an incredible moment, and that's where I met my dear old friend, Eva Dokimova, who became really, really close friends till she passed away. And then when I was in Europe, I just got job offers, and I met him in Belgium. But then he can tell you your story a little bit.
Yeah.
Mine was an accident.
Okay.
Because my dream was to do ballroom,
Yeah.
cha-cha-cha, paso doble, tango. And I asked my mother, and she spoke with some friend, and I find myself in the Royal Conservatory in Belgium. At 8, sit down on the floor, stretching and flexing my feet.
Oh, okay.
And I said, no, I'm not going back. This is not what I want. And old school, my mother said, oh, no way. You asked to go, I sign you in September. You need to finish in June, and then you don't go back. But you can say after the first day, I'm not going back. And lucky, I never say enough thank you to her because, and then from there,
smart mother, a teaching commitment.
Well,
and then from there, my life was this design.
Predestined, I guess. He actually joined the company, he was 15 and a half, he always specified.
Wow. Where in Belgium?
Belgium, Royal Ballet de Wallonie. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Because my teacher was the director of the company and the director of the school.
Of the conservatory.
The conservatory, she did both. And it was a state school and free of charge. Then I think we was maybe 30, 35 younger one when we start 8 and we graduated in 2.
Really?
Because every year it was a selection because it was a government school and then you don't need to
pay the bills.
Pay the bill.
Yeah. But now the time when you did your training, can you say there were things that you think back now and say that was not so good for your bodies or that was not good for your training? Could that be also why you had this idea of really working and seeing if you can or if dancers can benefit in the long run?
I think in the past, because it was not my teacher or the old teacher thought, we don't know exactly how to do stretching in a safe way. The teacher was mean.
Very mean.
It was a philosophy to take you down, to brought you up.
To build you up.
Yeah.
And I remember the last year of graduation, I was with my friend because we start together at 8. And both of us, we cried before going into class because we was so scared. And I think this was not good. Mm-hmm. Lucky we just love it, but other way, somebody else to stop.
Yeah.
And you need to go into your ballet class, into your training, because you love it and you enjoy it.
But when we were dancers, it was very rare the dancers did not have the legs up to like this. It was just a few. and it was not this exaggerated technique that you see happening in the last 3 decades, I guess. But
I don't know when the body can do more than what we see now.
but that's one of the reasons that the studies were done, because so many dancers were having problems with substance abuse, drug or alcohol, etc. So that means that there was a certain stress. Then a lot of this started happening in the 80s, I guess, in the 70s and late 70s and 80s, and because our generation, we didn't really go through that. It was the generation after ours.
We don't go to that, but I remember in the company, not in the school, in the company, every Friday, one by one, we was in the director office on the scale.
Oh, I see.
The weight.
Mm.
So if you gain weight, you didn't get paid, but he was always underweight, so the director would bring cakes and make them eat.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But it was the period when the director of company told you, you need to lose weight. I don't care how, just lose it.
Yeah.
But like Raymond said, in the 80s, then it was a little worse because people start saying, okay, maybe when you start smoking, you can lose weight. When you take this pill, it can help. Then it was a tough time for some, particularly because we know, and now in the ABT curriculum, because we work with so many doctors, we know it's normal when a girl has 15, 14, she put a little weight. It's normal. And then when you arrive at 19, 20, 21, slowly it go away. Then it's not healthy to start doing this crazy diet at a young age, because it's dangerous for your health later on, particularly for the girl.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And it's such a pity that more it's still happening. It's still happening that there are girls suffering from this, from where it started at that age, you know, where they were made aware of that their bodies turning more feminine is not the right shape. And I understand that. But now,
sorry, I was saying we see our dancers in the company at ABT that after the holidays, the girls, they have gained weight, they look really nice and plump. After 2 months of rehearsals, they're because there's so much work, they eat like crazy, but they lose.
And also we need to train like in the ABT school, like most of the school in the world, you have ballet class, but you have also nutrition class with a nutritionist, because it's very important. You need to eat. Like Raymond said, when you don't put gasoline in a car,
it doesn't go.
It doesn't go. Yeah. Our body is the same, but it's some of the food we don't need. Because it's not, anyway, not only for a dancer. And I remember my first year at ABT, when you start doing this session with a nutritionist, I decided to invite also the parents, not only the student.
Yeah.
And some of the parents came back to me and say, you know what, Mr. De Vita? The whole family changed the way we are eating.
Really?
And I think it was beautiful. But like Alessandra said to you, because she sent us your interview with her.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And also with all the medical side, with the curriculum, we know how not to push the student too much, because some teacher, when you have a talent, the teacher go crazy and start pushing the younger one, and it's not good physically and it's not good mentally.
No, I definitely agree. And this is sometimes these videos that you see on YouTube, these very, very young girls doing these extraordinary things, and you just think, how long will these bodies be able to handle that?
And where is your future? Because when you do all this ballerina variation, at 9, 10, 11. What are you doing at 20?
Yeah, yeah.
And we know a beautiful girl. She did, I don't know how many competition, and the mother was crazy about competition. And she won everything, but she never got a career. She never became a professional dancer.
Mm.
Because
there was another girl who actually came to the ABT program in the summer, and we give the little textbook of the healthy dancer to the dancers, the students, and she read the book, and she was a teenager and she was not interested that much. Then she actually joined the Birmingham Royal Ballet, and after a year with the company, she said, "This is not what I want to do. I'm not happy." She won Moscow. She's gone into medicine, and she holds these symposiums, and she brings out our little book.
Really?
Yeah. This is our little book, The Healthy Dancer. You see.
Oh, wow. And where is that available?
It's available on the ABT website, abt.org. Yeah.
Okay, I'll put the link in the description of the video, because I think this is wonderful that there's an actual book that you can, and all the information about the program is that in this book?
No,
about the health.
this is the health.
Okay.
The actual book with the program is another book, which
It's
is
a big one.
It's this big one.
But this one, you get this one only when you do the program.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The Healthy Dancer book anybody can get.
Now, this is so amazing, and ideally, I think, wouldn't it be wonderful if every ballet school, if every teacher in the world have this knowledge and the way of teaching, but there's still also teachers who have been taught a specific way, and they are also still teaching in that way because they don't really know different, or they think this is how to raise or how to educate in ballet. But now, how is it possible to do this program that you are teaching, this teaching program? Say, for instance, for somebody with a ballet school.
You can go on the ABT website, abt.org, and then from there go education and training. There's the tabs, education and training, and then on education and training, there is a national training curriculum, or it might say courses for teachers.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So yeah.
And before we hold the program in New York, but with this pandemic, we learn how to do it on Zoom.
Really?
Last year we did 10 program for teacher on Zoom, and it was incredibly successful because not everybody has time or money to come to New York and spend 10 days and then 7 days and 7 days. And we got people from Asia, from Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, India, doing the program.
China,
because
Korea, Japan.
Now for 2022 we are planning. We hope so. We are planning to go back and do program live New York in the studio, but we will keep doing a program in Zoom because it's successful. We learn, this pandemic is terrible, but we learn so much. We can do so many different. Incredible.
I mean, look here, we are talking to each other, and I didn't even know of the existence of Zoom before the pandemic, so.
Neither did we.
Yeah.
And we are not so young. In the beginning, it was difficult to learn everything new. But I was from January to May. One of our teachers got a terrible. Her husband, he was a doctor, and he died in the beginning of the pandemic in New York. And then suddenly she said, "I need to have some time off." And then I was asked to take her. And I was teaching this younger group, 11, 12, 3 times a week. And oh my God, it was so special to see this little girl and this little boy, home in the living room, some in a little New York apartment, and working so hard with such an enthusiasm. It was beautiful.
Well, I spoke to a ballet teacher of the Royal Ballet during this lockdown time, and she said that she was teaching her students also over Zoom. And she said what was so amazing was that they were suddenly now in an environment where they feel so comfortable, and everything was just a little bit more relaxed. But they were working so hard, and they were really giving so much. And I think we should also treasure that, you know, that this time had brought that together with the sadness and the hardship and so on. But there were very sort of positive moments that we probably will not again, you know, relive.
I'm not only in ballet, but I think in education in general, children who are closed, who are don't have very good social skills, they actually flourish during this period.
Yeah.
Because you don't see,
they don't have the peer pressure.
Yeah. Well, I have a daughter who has Asperger's and syndrome, and she loved it because she didn't have to deal with all the outside stimulation, you know. So she was enjoying the time, the isolation time. But so now, and this is so wonderful, and you are still actively teaching this program yourselves. And if, say, for example, is this a syllabus, or is it you still, if you do the RAD exams, or is it now a specific exam curriculum that you have?
Okay, so we do not have a set syllabus. It's not like RAD or the Cicchetti Society or the British Ballet Organization. We just have a guidelines of what would be logical to do at different stages of development, and how one movement develops into the next movement, into the next movement, so that there's a logical building block progression. But we allow the teachers a certain amount of flexibility, and they build the syllabus according to their student population, because the needs of the student population.
We have a certain curriculum you need to cover before the end of the year.
Okay.
But how you cover is you. We, during the program, we help the teacher to do that too. And we got a lot of RAD and Cicchetti teacher did the program.
And Russians. We did this in Russia. We did it in St. Petersburg, Russia. Yeah.
So you travel over the world to teach this as well. So you go to different countries as well.
And now in 2022, we will be for the whole month of August in Sweden, in Gothenburg at the National Ballet School, to do the 3 sessions of the teacher training program.
Oh, I see.
But we've already done it. We've done it in Basel, in Switzerland. We've done it in Italy, in Florence and in Fort Lee. We've done it in Lima, Peru, in Montevideo, Uruguay, Monterrey, Mexico. Where else?
Wow. And how do we get you in Vienna?
In what?
How do we get you to come to Vienna?
We would love to come to Vienna.
To ABT. Contacting ABT.
He comes from the Sud Tirol in Italy. He's from.
Really?
I'm a neighbor. In fact, my family was Austrian before.
So 1920, they were in Austria.
Really? But then you have to come. Then you have to come to Vienna.
We love to.
Yeah, we have to arrange that somehow, or we have to send out some sort of wish or vibes that you can come to Vienna. That would be wonderful.
We have how many certified teachers in the world?
God, I don't know. Quite a lot. There's teachers all over the world that are certified. But Vienna would love to. But I can email you the information with whom you need to contact in the administration.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not sure how I can do it, but you have to come to Vienna. This is such a wonderful project.
What is fantastic is to have the teacher coming back to us and say which is the result I can got working with the curriculum, working in a different atmosphere in the school, how much more the students are happy, the parents are happy, and automatically when you are happy, you progress, your improvement go faster.
Yeah. And of course, it's an art form. It should bring enjoyment. You know, it should be hard work, of course, to get to the standard, but it should also be enjoyable.
Well, some of the studies that we follow that we're showing that when people are having a good time, the neurons connect by 500% more efficiently than they do when they're not having a good time. So, and one example that one of the doctors said, which I always repeat to the people who do the course, is when you go to school and you try to learn a little poem, it is such hard work. But children will memorize the entire script of a movie of Walt Disney, and they'll sing every song, that's a lot. That's a big script, and they memorize that whole thing.
Yeah,
and it doesn't even. They enjoy it rather than, and it's still a big effort to memorize all of that. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So the doctor was saying when you're having a good time, it's actually easier to learn than when you're not.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. Yeah, I think this is why I also think this is amazing work that you are doing, and I would so love to see that, you know, and you go also to vocational schools, to ballet schools. It's not just for private ballet teachers.
We've had teachers from most of the major institutions do the course. For example, Diane Van Schoor, who was director.
I know.
Diane, when she retired from the Royal Ballet School, the first thing she did was come and did the ABT program.
Really?
Did the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course,
my
we were very close together.
My children were there when she was still at the Royal Ballet School.
And so we've had dancers and teachers of the Mariinsky do the course.
Because when we started with this new program, one of our board members was very generous. And he said, I will pay for all the ABT alumni want to come back and do the program.
Oh, I see.
Oh my God, we got so many ex-ABT dancers to come back. But it was like Martin von Hamel, Susan Jaffe, big star came back to do the program. And when in the beginning of the close down,
of the lockdown,
ABT contact us and say, we want to offer this to our company member because it's nothing to do. And in a way, it was excellent because we did it with a company member, but it was also a way to learn how to do it on Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
And we got more than 60 dancers from the company came to do the program.
That's amazing. And was it beneficial for them as well?
Well, one comment that we received was, one dancer said, we had no idea that you actually had to prepare so much to teach.
Really?
We thought that you would just come in and improvise, and no.
And some of the dancers said to us, after we did the program, when we take class, we don't just take class to warm up and to feel good. We start thinking about all we learn. And our technique improved
Really?
because our focus is not only just to do an exercise.
Mm. But I think this is also something that's important because technique, I understand, technique is very important because it also prevents injury and it's also important to do it the right way. But for me, sometimes I think it's also there's like I spoke to a musician a few days ago and he said as well, it's like there's a time to focus on the technique, but then there's also a time to just play, also a time to just play the piano, not just think about the technique all the time. And I think it's the same with dance. I think there's a time where you really focus on the technique, and then there has to be a time where this artistic feeling or this artistry comes in, and then you just dance.
But being an artist is also a technique because you have to understand you understand how your body is going to communicate something. So sometimes if you watch a really wonderful actor who basically does almost nothing, but just a little bit of an eyebrow or a little bit of the, you could start reading all the emotions and maybe the thoughts that they're going through that. So of course, in dancing in the theater, we have to do it with our bodies in a bigger way because it has to communicate far away. Mm-hmm. But how do we communicate with our bodies complex emotions? So we have to have also the technique of understanding how to communicate the human condition so that we touch audiences on an intellectual level, on an emotional level, and on an aesthetic level. So there's those three aspects that we have to somehow touch the audience to get across a message.
Yeah.
And because, like you said before, when you go on YouTube, you see this incredible technical dancer, but only technical. And what we try teaching is to make our dancer to understand it's good to do difficult tricks, but when you walk out of a performance and you just enjoy it, you are happy, you saw something beautiful, but you don't remember how many pirouettes the dancer did, how many fouettés, how many jumps, then it's because the dancer is giving you everything.
The whole package. You cannot analyze it, but you can't analyze it and you're just transported and you say, did they have high legs? Say, I don't know. Did they have, I don't know. It was, that is, it's funny because we know Daniel Simkin and we actually helped him get into ABT when he came. And Daniel is a technical monster. He's insane. He is, but Daniel was so in tune with his artistry. Onegin from Franco, he did Lenski. I don't think I've ever seen it ever done as beautifully as he did it, with the level of emotion and
technique.
And of course the impeccable technique, but that technique also afforded him the freedom to really be able to transmit what was necessary in that role.
Yeah, it's one of the dancers really use its incredible technique for the artistry. But I remember we was in New York and ABT was the Swan Lake week, and we was at the Met every night, and we was walking and we saw Marcelo Gomez coming down. And we said to him, your performance yesterday was magic. And I said, the moment when after the Black Swan Pas de Deux, you realize
you've been tricked.
And you run at the door. I say, what a magical moment. And then I go, oh, sorry, Marcelo, I'm talking about. He said, no, this is an incredible compliment for me.
Really?
Because it was a magical, you really believe the story.
No, exactly. But this program, does it evolve? Do you still now add things or find new things or find new information?
Yes. We call it a living document.
In fact,
and the doctor. In fact,
C is a binder.
it's a binder.
Then we can change
can change the
and make
page.
some different, because you regularly you need to make some change.
Yeah.
There are new discoveries, new things that we see.
And also because, sorry, Raymond, because we go around because we do exam too.
Oh, okay.
Then we go around examining. And then when you go around examining, you see sometimes you need to make some change.
Yeah. So the teachers who do this training, they also get updated every time you let them know.
Yeah, but we have also so many teachers after you did your qualification.
Yeah.
The teachers are coming back to audit the program.
Okay.
Because a lot of teachers find very beneficial, because you come back, you don't need to think about the examination and all this stuff. You just come and listen, and some people come and do the auditing 3-4 times.
Really?
And then sometimes we do, like we did it in Zoom 3 months ago, and a refreshment course with Sweden.
Yeah, we did a refresher with the National Ballet School in Gothenburg, Sweden.
Oh, I see. Well, this is so interesting, and it is so wonderful to hear this work that you are doing, and it looks as though you are so dedicated to get this program out and to get people aware of it. And but can I ask you something on a lighter note? What do you do in your spare time?
For the moment, because
you're retired,
we move when it was possible to go out of the city of New York.
Yeah.
We moved to Florida. We have a beautiful home, a lot bigger than our apartment in New York, and with a lot of space, a beautiful pool. Then we enjoy our life a little bit.
Yeah. And gardening and things like that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I saw a cat also in the background. A little bit. There's a cat?
Yes, Dolce.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the cat. But gentlemen, it was so lovely to talk to you, and I really wish that you could come to Vienna and do the training here as well. And
pleasure.
And I hope to one day meet you in person. That would be so great.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I will send you the information for the contact at ABT.
Please. That would be great. Yeah. Good. So have a lovely afternoon. Have a lovely lunch and a lovely afternoon.
You too.
Yeah.
And
actually, we will tonight we go to Sarasota to see Sarasota Ballet. The performance.
I spoke to Ian a while ago, and will you please send him my regards?
Okay, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
His wife is called Margaret, isn't it?
Yeah.
Margaret was lovely. In July, we did a master class for the summer program, and Margaret cooked lunch for Raymond and me.
Really?
It was lovely. Yeah.
She's also South African. I'm also South African. Yeah. So but please send him my regards. He's I haven't met her, but I also spoke to him on Zoom a while ago. So such a lovely man.
And they've done a phenomenal job. The company is absolutely beautiful.
Really?
Yes.
But that's great. Okay. So, but we will meet each other soon, as I'm sure.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.